Hey friends, so a couple weeks ago we picked about 40 oranges, which is a lot of oranges, for the purpose of making marmalade. We then made marmalade with those 40 oranges. Marmalade is super yummy. It's a little bit different from jam because it's made with the inside and the peel or the rind of a citrus fruit, and it's citrus based. Marmalade's also really cool because you can actually activate the natural pectin in oranges, and you do that by adding lemon juice. It's a great product to start out with because the high sugar content and high acid content that comes from being a like product makes it a really good like storageable product. It's super fun, it's super easy, it's super delicious, and if you live in Southern California like me, or a place like me, where there's a lot of orange trees, or maybe, you know, there's college campus nearby that you used to go to until they shut down, and they might have several orange trees that maybe just had oranges that no one wanted to go to waste. In theory, you could like do something cool with that and actually make something that's really yummy and keeps really well and allows you to enjoy oranges all year. So for this recipe, you will need oranges, you will need lemons, you will need sugar, you will need water. For equipment, you will need a big pot, jars, a knife, and a thermometer is helpful, and I prefer a lemon squeezer, and we'll get into that. And with those things, you will see how awesome it is and how you can make an awesome marmalade. So you can go see the marmalade we made a couple weeks ago. Put on your safety material. Next, you want to peel the orange. Now the reason you peel the orange, and this looks very weird, is because actually the part of the orange you see that's underneath the orange part, the white part, is what makes marmalades usually so bitter. So you just peel the orange, and then you have the orange peels. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut the orange. Ooh, is this orange? No, this orange is still good. In half. And then you're gonna try to kind of pry out the orangey bit from the white bit, because the white bit is the part that we're trying to get rid of. Remember to remove the seeds from the oranges, and like we can see, this is kind of why we're wearing eye protection. I mean, it's not necessary, but I personally think it is, because you don't want the orange juice to come get you in the eyes. Okay, now we take our extra orange thing, and CoCo, now follow me. And what we do is we go out of doors. This part is optional, of course, but I think that you should do it for maximum sustainability and being like me. And you feed the orange peels to the chickens, and then the chickens don't eat them because no one likes orange peels. Okay, now you're gonna want to julienne the pieces, which basically just means cut them up into thin strips. Now if you don't use 40 oranges, this probably will not be the worst thing you've ever done. But we used 40 oranges! You know, like idiots! It's fine. To help this go by, you can tell stories about things that have made you angry, such as people who may have wronged you in the past in your own home, or people who have done mean things to you or your family members in public. I find that that really helps with the cutting the orange process. A tip for getting maximal juiceage out of your lemons is to roll them out with your hands. So that starts to break down the little, like, you know how lemons have the little thingies inside? Yeah, so it breaks those down, and so it kind of like when you cut it and then juice it with your lemon juicer, it releases more juice.
How many lemons are we using?
We're using 10 lemons of juice in this recipe. So to get the juice out of the lemon, you're gonna wanna put it in your lemon juicer. This is a type of lemon juicer, there are multiple types. And then you just wanna squeeze it. Press it. And then, this is the part a lot of people don't do, but I do this. So I flip it over and press it again to get any additional juice. Do you see how much more juice came out? Wow, it's incredible. There are also juicers that come and look like this. For that, what you want to do is you want to put the lemon on and then you kind of rub it against the sides and it gets the juice out. But personally, I hate doing this and I don't like using this. You can also squeeze the lemon with your hand, but then the seeds usually end up in there. So I really recommend getting one of these. They're not that expensive and they really do make juicing like lemons and oranges and limes a lot easier. And especially like for me who has like chronic pain and like a lot of joint issues, like having this has made it a lot easier for me, like as a person living with disability, to like bake and cook my lemons. What you want to do is you're going to want to take your julienne orange peels and put them into a pot of water. If you have not julienned the peels of 40 oranges, you will not need a ridiculously large pot. But again, this is a tutorial for how to make 40 oranges worth of marmalade. Yes. Remember to boil these oranges initially for around 10 minutes in your hot water. After boiling your orange rinds and pouring off the liquid 3 times for 10 minutes each time, what you're gonna now wanna do is add the rest of the ingredients. So for about 40 oranges, which is what we've used, you're gonna wanna add about 20 cups of water. Yes, thank you, CoCo. So now you're gonna wanna add your lemon juice to the pot. If you got any seeds in your lemon juice like we did, you can just put it through a strainer or pick them out individually. This also helps remove the pulp if you don't want lemon pulp. And the lemon juice is really, really important because it helps activate the natural pectin that is in the rinds of the orange. So it allows you to make marmalade without using additional pectin, which is really cool. Is add about 15 cups of sugar, which is about 9 pounds of sugar. This is actually a really good recipe to use up older, chunkier sugar because it's gonna boil anyway. And so, you know, if the sugar is hard or chunky, that will boil away and it'll still be useful. This is not all the sugar we need to add. And let's take a view into our pot. Okay, so now that all of your ingredients are in your pot, what you're gonna do, you're gonna like try to mix it together just to have things a little bit more evenly distributed. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it on high until it boils. And at that point, you're gonna let it boil for 6 minutes. And then you're gonna bring it down to a medium low. And at that medium low temperature, you're just gonna let it cook until it gets real thick with 5 C's and 2 graduate schools. After you determine the marmalade is done, which quite frankly, we're still not really how sure to do. We tested it with a candy thermometer and it seemed hot enough, but then we put it in the freezer and like it didn't freeze. So we're unclear on whether that's based on our issue or the fridge, but we are gonna let it cool for a while and then we're gonna put it in some canning jars and see how it turns out. So hopefully it will be marmalade and not marma-laid. Quick update on the marmalade. After letting it chill and set overnight, we actually found that it hadn't been cooked enough. So we boiled it again and now it's a darker color and seems a bit thicker, and we're gonna can it and see what happens. Once you get your marmalade to a point where it's cooked to where you want it to be, you're gonna wanna transfer it from the pot you're using to a bowl. And to sanitize the bowl, we put this in the oven for about 20 minutes at 350 degrees. If you have more than one large pot, you can do that too, but we will be using the large pot for our water baths and sanitation of the glass jars that we are using. So that is why we transferred into the bowl. To correctly sanitize your jars, first you're gonna wanna rinse out your jars with whatever soap you have in water. Then you're gonna wanna fill your big pot with water and boil your jars so the germs are dead. After boiling your jars to sanitize them, you're gonna wanna become a crab. And remove the jars from the hot water. I did not do it well, and I think I may have burnt myself. After transferring the marmalade from the bowl into the containers, what you're gonna wanna do is make sure to really wipe around the rim, and then also wipe around the jar just so it's not sticky. But what really matters is wiping around the rim so we get a good seal. So our marmalade is sanitary. After you've sealed your jars with new lids with new seals, you're gonna wanna put them back in the big pot of water and boil the big pot of water with the jars. You're gonna wanna bring it up to boiling, leave it boiling for 10 minutes. And then we've elected to, once we stop boiling, leave the jars in the water and let it cool overnight in the water in order to avoid any complications. If you have a jar that's not fully full, that jar probably you should switch to a smaller jar, but we're just gonna eat that jar of marmalade. So if we've elected to put a jar full of water on it to keep it from floating. So we ended up with about 1.5 gallons of marmalade, which is 6 of these large size jars. So our marmalade has actually been super yummy. You can see it's a little soupy, but it's really, really good. It's a beautiful color and a beautiful texture, and it's super, super yummy. We had a lot of fun making it, and I'll show a picture of us actually with all of our marmalade. And it's really good on toast, it's really good on ice cream, it's really good in muffins, and just like great to add orange flavor to anything. So I really hope you guys try this out, maybe with a few less oranges, and I can link the recipe that I mostly base this on below, and hopefully you can try it out maybe with 5 oranges or 10 oranges and let me know how it goes. Thank you so much. Side make an ASMR channel.